Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. We are back at CMAC for the night flying, although it doesn't look like much of night at the moment. So tell me, what are we looking at in front of us, James?
That's a 3DR Solo running the open Solo, so the open firmware and the rest of that for the Solo. So giving you a bit more control over things like the LEDs and running master firmware, the green cube and that kind of thing. But apart from that, that's just a Solo. If I have a look over to
a lovely
left,
evening.
the flight line. Sorry.
Lovely evening.
Oh yeah, it is. And I'll go back there if I can find it in my camera. Yeah. So there's actually two Solos up there. One's just stock up the top. I hope you can see it. And underneath, no. So the stock one's hard to see. The one right in front of us is running open Solo, which Buzz and Phil and a few others, Matt Lawrence, put a lot of effort into getting Ardupilot Master and the main code base running on Solo. And that's given them access to some really cool little things like more control over the LEDs.
Oh, right.
I'll just walk around.
Okay.
I'll walk around and just because there's a few aircraft up and a few about to take off. So we've got Grant with a first star that's got some LEDs on the end of the runway there, and quite a few pilots in the pilot box, which is there. We're about to get a few more things up in the air.
I can tell the wind's dropped out, and it's a lovely, calm evening, is it?
Yeah, it's a beautiful evening. It's probably still about 20 degrees centigrade. A little light, gentle wind. It's really quite nice.
And Tridge is pointing and shouting.
Yeah. Righto. So we've got quite a crowd here. We've got Michael DeBrail, who's the GPS maintainer. From Swift Radio Plane. He's flying a Sky Viper for a bit of fun.
I've got mine right here for a bit of solidarity.
Right, we're just going to have to bring the aircraft down for a bit. We've got a rescue chopper that's just flying across the top.
Come down. Real world stuff.
Yeah.
So hopefully it's not been too bad. Hopefully somebody's in a better place now thanks to them rather than anything worse. Hopefully. What's the aircraft I'm looking at on the ground there? I can't quite make out what it is.
All right. So that's a Bixler 3 with some LEDs and a cube in it. And that's a Sky Viper that's buzzing around in front of me.
And did you manage to get a swarm away?
No, I think Randy is still planning to do the swarm. I'll go have a chat to him and we'll find out what's going on with that. But
perfect.
Yeah, that's Phil Rouse's little Bixler that he flies around in.
That he flies around in. Is Phil really quite small?
Yeah. So we've got Randy again, Gary. We'll just have a chat about what's going on with the swarm.
Yeah, so today we tested, I guess, for the second or third time, the drone swarming, the drone-to-drone swarming. So we're not using a ground station this time. The drones connect to each other over Wi-Fi, and so then the position from the lead drone is passed back to the followers, and then does what you would expect. It basically follows them around at a given offset. But yeah, the great thing about it is it doesn't require any ground station. So it's not quite there yet. A little more work needs to be done on the controllers, but eventually, actually in the quite near future, hopefully you can just take a couple of drones outside, put them on the ground, fire up the lead. All the other guys behind will arm at the same time, and you'll take off and you'll have the swarm. So that's the plan.
Okay.
We're about more than halfway there. They're already flying. They're already swarming. It's just the details that we need to fix.
Okay.
So we're going to put a couple of Sky Vipers up and show that this evening or not?
Not this evening. No, we actually did it this afternoon and burned through most of our batteries. So we have it on video.
Okay. So we'll post that.
Yeah, we'll post the video for sure.
Cool. Yeah, and everything's going up. What's the address of the Ardupilot YouTube channel? And I'll put it in the link below when we finish as well.
I think it's ardupilot.org.
Ardupilot.org for the project, and then I'll find the YouTube link and we'll make sure
search for that in YouTube. That should bring up a YouTube channel as well.
We'll make sure that's up there and get people watching everything that's happened there. And you're going to have all the chats that have occurred, I believe, are also going to be on there.
Sorry, I couldn't quite hear that.
Yeah, so the presentations will be put up as well, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've got at least five from today, 5 or 6 presentations from today. There's a great one from Leonard on the PID controllers and attitude controllers in Ardupilot, and another great one from Tridge on Chibios. Some great presentations.
Cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to those. We haven't any questions to the wild. How was the barbecue, by the way?
Where was the barbecue?
How was it?
Oh no, how was the barbecue? The barbecue was great.
So really, we framed both these hangouts with food entities.
Oh no, we made sure we finished eating before we started this one, Gary.
And it looks like you're not drinking as well. I see nobody's walking around with a beer there, so that was very clever to make sure that nobody's walking around with a beer.
No, it's a dry site for the for flying, and we definitely wouldn't be suggesting people have a beer while they're flying the drones or anything like that. It'd be a little irresponsible, I think.
Goodness me, you are right on there in Australia, aren't you? We haven't got any questions from the audience. Dear audience of FU, if you've got any questions, now is the time. We've got all the developers in one field. You can pin them down.
We've just got Tridge with an optical flow enabled Sky Viper. That's this one here.
Not using GPS, that's using just optical flow to hold position, and it's estimating the height using the optical flow sensor without a rangefinder. And so even in this low light, it's actually managing to hold position against the wind. And if I turn off the optical flow hold, you'll see what happens. Let's take it out
look at that.
and show you what happens if I turn off the... That's without the optical flow. And you see I'm having to fight it all the time, and it's constantly moving, right? And so it starts drifting, and then I'll turn on the optical flow now, and now it'll work out its height. And now it's worked out what its height is and automatically dialed in the flow.
And is that optical flow using the camera on board or another sensor fitted?
No, it's not using it during flight.
It's another sensor. There's a tiny little Pixar.
We're going to integrate them all into the one mode with GPS.
So I'm struggling to track that. It's too small.
Yes.
Yeah. There's a tiny little flow camera just stuck to the bottom of it. If you pull apart a current Sky Viper, you can actually see on the bottom of the board where that might fit.
Now I've got mine in my hand now. I don't know, because we've moved house. I don't know where my little screwdrivers are. Otherwise, I'll be doing that right now. So I presume the pinouts are there on the bottom somewhere for it then, and clear them up.
Doing something funny with it.
No, Sid is just playing with the controller. I'm trying to break it.
Good. That's.
So Sid's done a bunch of work on the Sky Viper stuff with Andrew, so they're playing around with that. We've got a just another little brightly lit aircraft here. That Sky Viper is too hard to track while I'm trying to keep you in frame with the phone. So we've got an X8 here with some LEDs, but that's a VTOL X8 with wing extensions. That'll go for a fly in a little while. That's the only quad plane we've got here, I think, at the moment.
Okay, has there been much talk of quad frames in the conference?
We actually have had every type almost conceivable. I'm sure someone will come up with an innovative one soon, but we've had probably 5 or 6 different configurations of VTOL aircraft flying today, from the thrust-vectored belly sitter to a tricopter to a tilt wing, the quad plane obviously over there.
Yeah.
Tridge using a 3D plane prop hanging with the VTOL code. Yeah, Tridge is waving again.
He's one for the camera, isn't he? Really, he's all about the camera.
No, he's not at all. He just likes having fun. And this is fun. We'll be putting this as just a First Star 2000. That'll probably go up again because it's got nice bright lights on it. Phil's Bixler is coming in for a land. Or not a land?
No, he's flying it back to Melbourne or something, isn't he? Oh, what a lovely looking evening.
Yeah, so there's a couple of aircraft up there. It's really, sorry, I'm on an iPhone, so it's not the best imagery. It's probably not going to be the greatest for the viewers out there.
I'm quite surprised actually in the low light how well it's doing. How far along past sunset is it for you?
I'll just point out at the horizon there. You can kind of see where the sun's just disappearing over the hills. So the sun is below the horizon. But we're still in civil twilight.
Sure. Yeah. Very good. Keep with the regulations. Keep with the regulations.
No. As an organised event at a model aero club, in accordance with the model aero club rules with the MAAA, this is an organised event. We can do this.
Cool. That's good.
And all of our visiting pilots have had to fill out the form, sign in. Be signed in by a member, and we've made sure that we've ticked all those boxes and followed the rules.
No, very good. I would expect nothing else from the sort of spiritual home of the Ardupilot project in Australia.
So I just missed that because there was a VTOL taking off right in front of me. So there's that X8.
And where are we at now? This is about what year? Would we say we're in year 3 of these things?
Sorry, mate.
Would you say we're in about year 3 of these separate lift thrusts now? Or is it just year 2 of them? They're getting established now, aren't they?
Yeah, so it was pretty much this time 2 years ago that in Ardupilot anyway, they existed before that with Latitude and a few other companies doing it. But it was almost exactly 2 years ago that the Canberra UAV aircraft started flying the quad plane code.
And what are you hoping to achieve with this one now? Just fly it around and not crash?
Well, that's Daryl Berkey's aircraft. So he's from Canberra UAV, but also has his own little company called Pro UAV. He used that for mapping a cornfield like 2 days ago. So it actually does carry a camera and do real work, that aircraft.
Well, that's cool. All right, maybe I think because it looks like I might be interrupting your fun. Let me just check and see if we have got any questions before we dive off. But if we have no questions, I think I should probably let you guys get back to your evening and not have this intrusion.
Yeah, and no rush. My phone will go flat in about 20% of my phone battery, but so we've probably got about 15 minutes, I think.
Now, what are these? Those are different to those. Those didn't look like Yanni t-shirts.
Yeah, there's a few guys. So we've got Leonard, who's fully decked out in Yanni's swag.
Showing it off, everybody.
Yes.
So that's the hat and the shirt.
And that's really kind of the best way to there's Yanni himself. Yanni should be wearing Yanni's gear. But that kind of is kind of one of the easiest ways of contributing back to the project now, if you don't put some code in, is to get yourself some gear. And then so you get yourself some gear and put a little bit of money back into the project. So that's a great thing.
Yeah, it is. And, one of the challenges with Ardupilot as a community-driven project largely is being sustainable. We do rely a lot on the partners program, but also all of those contributions from the public, that it all counts. It all gets hardware to the developers. It all supports the servers and the auto test builds and that kind of thing that all do actually cost money, even though we don't charge a cent for the software.
That's right. I think it's long forgotten. And I think also there's a confusion in the world of exactly what Ardupilot is. Is it the flight controller? Is it the software? Is it both? I think there's a confusion, and I think having the store will help focus people's minds on what's what is actually what, and also the change with ChibIOS and the ability to use all sorts of new flight controllers. That's going to bring all sorts of people in and help with messaging. I think.
Oh, absolutely. Differentiating Ardupilot as a flight control stack or a vehicle control stack, which is software, from the particular autopilot hardware boards, which are obviously important. And Phil's just smiling at me.
Well, the great thing is with being able to use lower cost boards is, and because those lower cost boards do have their own issues because they're lightweight, the sensors aren't bang up to date and all that sort of thing. But they're a great entry level drug, if you will, into the Ardupilot world, which will then lead you on to one of, you know, if you want the top end spec, then that currently is the Cube from Phil. And but you know, that's an expensive way to start learning, isn't it? If we can get people through the door at a cheaper level, then all the better, I say.
Oh, absolutely, I completely agree. You know, the target audience for, you know, the Night Ghost Hell that was merged a week or so ago, the Chibios work, the target audience for those is not necessarily the same customers or the same users who need something as reliable and well engineered as the Cube.
But you certainly,
maybe they'll grow into that user, but
absolutely. And of course, the great thing is, and that's where you're at there. You are at the CMAC site, and that is an airfield in simulation. You don't actually need to own any hardware or aircraft at all to dip your toes into the Ardupilot world. You can try it all in simulation, and again, all for free. So that's pretty amazing. So you can move from your simulation to your low-cost hardware, see if what you're doing almost works, and then from there move on to the professional hardware in order to make your commercial product of your dreams. So all the stepping points are there to get you addicted.
Absolutely, and we've got Peter just trying to prove that you can fly a racing drone with Ardupilot here as well.
Yeah, I think that's, again, a lot of those people are going to come into the fold with the new ChipOS port and the other controllers. I think a lot of people would be quite interested in having beginners at FPV racing for sure, in having perhaps a lightweight GPS on board and the ability just to hit RTL if it all goes horribly wrong. Which is missing from a lot of those controllers now, I think.
Yeah, absolutely, and you know, that is definitely part of the focus. And Leonard's doing a lot of work with the controller to make it perform as, you know, those FPV races kind of expect it to. And at the moment it doesn't, just because it's not designed specifically to do that. It can, and Leonard does it quite a lot. But as far as rolling that into a main build.
Well, yeah, because the Ardupilot's DNA is coming from the world of work, not from the world of play, really, and it's all been focused on that. Leonard's working on those great big things as well, isn't he? Now the huge racing ones. I can't remember what they're called. Yeah, I can't remember what they're called these days.
The Freedom class, I think, is what Leonard's working on. The big, yeah,
the great big one. So he's going from small to large, then.
Yeah, very much. He just. I think his mission in life is to challenge Paul's EKF as much as he can.
Yeah, those little ones too. Cool, man. All right, I will let you go, and you guys need to go off and have some fun and not listen to me ranting and whistling on.
The guys are having plenty of fun, and you're not disturbing at all. I think they actually quite enjoy knowing they're on camera.
Well, again, I'll say it again. Tridge does. We know Tridge does.
It's Gary.
Gary again. Hi, Gary.
Hello. I see a dark head.
That was Phil Rouse.
That was Phil, wasn't it?
So we've got 4 aircraft airborne at the moment, and none of them are crashing. There we go. There's kind of some lights up there, so it's all good. We might let you go just because this phone will go flat and it'll be embarrassing to drop out of control.
Absolutely.
But thanks very much for giving us the time.
That's all right. It's a pleasure. No, thank you. And any plans for eventual BVLOS capability from RYBAT? It's the BVLOS is already there. It's just the rules in your country, sir. That's you can, yeah.
That's a regulatory constraint, not a technical one.
Yeah, no, I know people here are approved to use Ardupilot equipped aircraft for BVLOS for the anti-poaching gambit. So yeah, no, it does all work, and that's very much a function of the radios and things you have as well, isn't it? The actual Ardupilot software ain't going to stop it happening. What might stop it happening is, or make it more uncomfortable for you, is your communication links. I don't know if you've got any thoughts to that.
Sorry, I missed that. I'm just dodging airplanes.
So I was just saying it's not so much Ardupilot, it's the radio links that start becoming more of a mission, and of course
they're robust.
Your Canberra UAV, they're working on the next UAV challenge. I think Outback Joe's going to be more than 20 kilometers away from them, I think. And so that is quite a communications task in itself.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're actually, Canberra UAV, we're simplifying our network architecture for this one, just to focus a little bit more on having a robust link than having redundant links. And, you know, as always, once we get all that design and working, it'll all be open source and people can jump on our Gitter and ask us about it or download it from GitHub. There'll be no secrets there at all.
Absolutely. And Rybat saying he uses Ubiquity now. Yes, on the regulatory restrictions. Yeah. So, no, it's Canberra UAV more than perfectly point out how that can work with their fantastic Outback Challenge entries. Anyway, your battery's going flat. I'll let you go. Thank you very much for letting me join in. I'm very jealous.
No worries, Gary.
And you guys will have a lovely rest of the evening. And I look forward to, I'll put a link in the comments below for the Ardupilot YouTube channel. And you'll be able to catch up with all the videos of all the chats they've had at the Unconference later today or sometime early next week, I should think.
Yeah, it'll probably be next week. So there's 5 from today and there'll be another 5 tomorrow.
Perfect. All right, man. Have a lovely evening. Take care, everyone. Cheers. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.